evaluating run form, we want to make sure that we give our muscles the best shot and the best chance to not only absorb shock but produce force. And what we generally find is most people kind of take their body into unideal positions. So we're applying some different principles, counter movement and length tension relationship. Length tension relationship is really simple, really. If we had a graph that looked at how much force your muscle can produce, and on that graph we had increasing force and increasing length. When your muscle's too short or too long, it can't produce a lot of force. But what we find is in the meat of this curve, where your muscle's in mid-range, that's where it generates the most force. If you're too long, if you're too short on each side, you're not going to be able to generate the force that we're looking for. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we set up our body for that. So if we look at the typical run form of overstriding and we put this runner in contact with the ground, let's come in and measure this angle. And we're going to find nearly a terminally straight knee. 180 degrees is where your knee is the weakest. It's stable there because of the bone interaction, but we don't want our muscles to kind of go on hiatus and let the bone absorb our shock. And this is what we're finding with this runner, is he's not utilizing his muscle groups to absorb shock. He's taking it all through the bone. So the quad is actually the weakest it can be at a terminally straight knee, so his quad can't help at all. So he's not going to be absorbing shock. If we watch the runner on the other side, this is me, as I come in contact with the ground, a nice midfoot strike will take me there actually, and what we find is at about roughly 50 degrees of flexion, our knee can generate the most force. So I'm at 22 degrees of flexion, but it's certainly way better than the 175. Remember, as we look at that curve, the closer we can get to midline, the more force we can generate. If we're hanging out at 180 degrees, we can't generate any force. If we jump 22 degrees, the amount of force we can produce goes significantly up. So that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to take this and absorb shock. The quad can turn on a little bit better here. You can get better shock absorption than landing straight knee. This is just an applied principle to movement that we already know happens. We know that your muscles are weak at maximums of flexion and extension, so why put them in this? You're just going to be absorbing shock through bone. As that bone interacts with the ground, we want to have the ground push up and just get caught by your quad, your glute, your hamstrings, your calf. So an applied principle. The other thing we want to look at too with the overstriding is counter movement. If we watch me on the opposite side, watch how when I land. Let's actually take me to initial contact, which is right there. So I'm about to contact the ground. If I just come in and measure the top of my head, the second I hit the ground, you're going to watch my head lower from that line right into loading. This is counter movement. So this lowering stores force so that when I go to push off, watch my head come back up, it pushes off. If we can get into this counter movement as soon as possible, right at landing, we can take the force from this leg and just drop it down. What's going to happen is you're going to sink into it and explode back up on the push off. So having a good midfoot strike allows you to get that counter movement right away. The research shows this. When we go to jump, we squat down and come up quick. That stores the theories are biased a little bit or not consistent across the board with everyone that's doing the research, but we know that you can generate more force this way. So if we get you landing midfoot, the second you hit the ground, your body weight interacts, we see the head lower right through mid stance, and then all that stored force comes right into push-off and drives you forward. Whereas on the other side, what happens is if we take his pelvis, you're not going to see a lot of movement here. He's going to hit the ground, and you don't see that initial drop until here, and now he starts lowering. But that first interaction with the ground is just a huge stopping force. His foot slaps to the ground. He didn't receive a lot of downward movement, and that he's taken away from his counter movement. So not only is overstriding disabling our quad, but it's preventing us from storing the force of landing and throwing it into our next step. We want to be able to carry momentum from this foot, throw it into the next foot, and just repeat. Push off and land, lower our head to the ground, counter movement, store force, and push off. So that's the big thing we're looking for. Keep on working on the overstriding. You want to get that midfoot strike, just like we're seeing down here. We want to be able to get that foot to land nice and parallel to the ground. That's what you're looking for. There's more benefit than you know. This is a great way for your muscles to function, your body to function, and to run faster without having to run more to achieve that.
Are you looking to become a stronger, faster, and more well-rounded runner? then jump on over to RunSmartOnline.com and take our 10-day free challenge. Try our run-specific, time-saving, and easy-access videos that let you get stronger from anywhere, whether it be at work, home, or on the road.